New World Aeternum is finally here. I'm going to tell you the most important things that I have learned over my last 3 years of playing New World and things I wish I could tell myself when I first started playing. First thing you need to be wary of when you first load into the game is picking your starting class. There are two things you should be focusing on when picking your starting class. One is the weapons that you want to be using, because this will affect your main story quest rewards as you progress the game. But in my opinion, the more important thing to take note of is the trade skills that come with your class. This is a very important because trade skills early on will dictate how much gold you can generally make in the early game. Alright, next I want to discuss mounts. Mounts, you unlock them at level 20 and you come here and talk to this guy. If you're wondering where that is on the map, it is in Everfall, and up here north, come to the nice horse right here and talk to this guy to begin your mount quest. He also has a lot of horses to sell. Next, I'll tell you how to get your first faction. So you'll have to come and talk to these vendors right here. You'll get the quest when you go to Everfall. You have to talk to each of the faction representatives, the Syndicate, the Marauders, and the Covenant. They'll give you a quest and you have to go out and do it. The Marauder quest is over here, and the Covenant quest is over here. The Covenant's home base will be right here. The Marauders' home base will be right here on the map. And the Syndicate's home base will be right here. And if your faction primarily dominates the server, you're not able to join that faction. So as you see here, purple on this server dominates more territories than the other two factions. So that means nobody, the Covenant or the Marauder faction here, can transfer into the Syndicate faction, and they are locked out of the Syndicate until either the Marauders or the Covenant take more territories than the Syndicate. Next off, let me tell you which profession made me the most gold. When I first started playing New World, it is definitely armoring and jewelry crafting. This got me over 200,000 gold in the first 2 weeks of playing, just by crafting bags and necklaces and jewelry for players and selling them on the market. This is hugely profitable. Do not buy bags, any low-level gear. Make it yourself. Trust me, you will be making bank, and this helps speedruns your crafting profession, allowing you to get ahead of the curve. This is because whoever can make it the 200 armoring or jewelry craft weaponsmithing first will make the most money off it, because first comes first serve, right? Everyone's gonna be coming to you for all the crafts, so you'll be making lots of money. They'll be tipping you, and you'll be able to sell very good gear. Focus on a crafting profession. I recommend armoring or jewelry crafting. These are highly profitable. You sell bags if you do armoring, and you can sell whatever jewelry piece you want if you do jewelry crafting. Next up, make sure you gather pretty much everything you see early on to the game, whether this be iron, fiber. You don't have to worry about trees, there's tons of trees. But the two most profitable gathering things are generally iron and fiber and moats. Make sure you grab a lot of moats. Moats are extremely important. So pick up every moat that you see, every iron node that you see, and every fiber bush that you see. This can be extremely useful at helping you progress your crafting professions faster. Something that you should be doing when you enter into the towns in New World is gathering some water. When you use water, it will give you a nice regeneration bonus, allowing you to get some extra healing in. Make sure you get your gathering tools, since if you go the route of armoring and jewelry crafting, you generally won't have time to get the gathering tools. So make sure you come over here and get and buy some off the auction house and keeping them upgraded if you are going to be gathering all the time. Perks I recommend looking out for are harvesting yield, harvesting luck, and efficiency here. While you're low level, XP would also be pretty useful. And another good perk is water moats. If you're going to want to be PvPing early, I recommend going to your faction vendor here and going to rewards and buying your faction gear. You can go medium, heavy, or light. That's all up to you. You can buy all the weapons here as well. And if you do not like the stat on the weapon or armor, you can buy these as well, as you can see here. These will actually change the attribute onto your armor piece that you've bought. You can do that for every armor piece that you buy in the faction vendor. You go to the armor station in here and you will find it in here. You have to have the armor piece unequipped when changing the attribute. I see a lot of people making that mistake, so make sure the armor is unequipped. So if you want to change like the chest here, you have to unequip it and then go into the armoring station to change the attribute of the armor. Another important thing to look for when leveling up is grabbing the Hearty rune on your ring. This is very strong because this allows you to have 3 rolls. As you can see here, I have Hearty, so I can roll 3 times in a row. And if I take off my ring, I can no longer roll 3 times. I now have to wait. So is this good for spam rolling if you need to like an oh shit, get out of there very quick? Hearty can definitely come in clutch. Generally, the best way to level is just by following the main story quest and doing your daily 3 faction quests every day. This is the best way to level up as quickly as possible. Next, let's talk about the real estate market. When you are buying your first home, you get a sweet deal of getting it half off. So you want to go for the more expensive purchase first, which is the $20,000 home. The difference between a $20,000 home and a $5,000 house is that the more expensive variant allows you to put more things inside, such as extra storage and extra items. However, your trophy count will remain the same at 5 in each, no matter the price. Something else that can also reduce the cost is if your faction owns the territory in which you're buying, or if your guild also owns the territory in which you're buying. Either of these will reduce the cost of your second and third home as well. If you want to try out many different builds and playstyles, I recommend doing this early on in the game, since it's less punishing to do so, since it's very easy to level up your weapons to level 10, but then it gets drastically harder afterwards. Play around with whatever catches your fancy, try it early. By the time you get to like level 30 and 40 and your weapons are around 16 and 17, you're not switching your weapons and struggling because how hard it is to level up and get to the same power level that you were before. When New World will be first released, all the crafting materials will be extremely cheap compared to after about a couple weeks into the game, maybe about a month. So what you want to do is you want to buy these resources early on. I know you don't have a lot of gold, but trust me, you'll be saving thousands of gold later on. And the best way to do this is by actually using buy orders onto the trading post. You should do this for everything that you want for your crafting profession, whether that be iron, fiber, moats, or even trees. All of this can be extremely useful because you want to level your trading skills and your processing skills as fast as possible before they become extremely expensive later on, because people won't be farming all these early game resources anymore, and it can definitely slow you down in the mid to late game if you don't focus on early. Put the buy order on the trading post or the auction house. It's only 1 cent above the current buy order. Don't be that guy that drastically increases the price, because you're only going to be screwing yourself over later on. Next up, I want to discuss territory levels. This is probably the most important thing to understand, because you cannot change these once you put them in. So generally, my rule of thumb is always upgrade storage no matter what. After storage, pick a place like Windsward, Everfall, Monarchs, wherever you want. We're going to be doing most of your trading, and there you want to level up as much trading tax reduction as possible. This will save you thousands and thousands and thousands of gold by doing this. You just want one trading hub, all your territory points into there when you can, and storage, and you'll generally be well off. Don't put anything into XP whatsoever. You can put a couple points into territory standing XP. This will help you out get higher levels in those areas. You can also have a town that can be your crafting town, and you put a lot of territory points into crafting there, so crafting can be quite a bit cheaper. You can also put a gathering speed in the places where you want to gather as well. So some of the best places to gather iron would be Monarchs. Fiber is Windsward. Have a gathering place where you like farming in a particular area. You can level up gathering speed in that area. While you are wandering through Aeternum, you're going to be picking up crafting mods. Do not sell these. Please do not sell these. These can be worth up to like 10,000 gold depending on the mod that you acquire. So I would wait until at least a couple weeks in, or if something's already selling for extremely high price, then you can just sell it. But I would just wait and hold it, because eventually the people who know what they're doing are going to be buying all the good crafting mods up, and they're probably going to be selling them for extremely high prices. So just keep this in mind. It's happened on Fresh Start before, and I did this on the launch of New World as well. So you keep your crafting mods, look at what's good, look at what's important for each weapon and class, so you understand which mods will be extremely expensive later on. This can make you absolute burn. Once you max out your refining skills, you want to do your daily crafts each day. So this will be crafting Asmodium, Phoenix Weave, and so on and so on. You have two choices when you make this. Either one, you can sell it, because at the start these will be worth so much more gold than they will be in weeks, or you can use it to make your own gear. This is totally personal preference, but I recommend always doing your daily crafts. So this is why rushing your processing up to 200 is so important, so you can get these early crafts cooking. Make sure you're also doing your daily chest runs. This will increase your gear score by quite a bit, and you can get golden scarabs. These should be worth quite a bit on the market. If they are not, don't be fooled, they will be. So if they're cheap, save them. If they're expensive, sell them. I'll let you be the judge of that. All right, next up, let's talk about artifacts. So artifacts are extremely important because they can greatly increase your power and change your build. So you want to make sure you're understanding what artifact you're going to be needing for your weapon and class setup. So for example, the finisher here is an amazing rapier. This gives you 15% more damage when attacking bleeding enemies. This dramatically increases your DPS over other rapiers. A ring, the blood drinker here, gives me 25% additional lifesteal, making me basically a drain tank, completely changing your playstyles. And then the armor I'm running here is attuned leather pants. These are really good for PvE since they give you plus 10 to all attributes, giving you a bunch more damage in PvE. Artifact here that's really good is the Serenity, being the best greatsword artifact. It gives you a bunch of damage on your heavy attacks, allowing you to absolutely nuke people in both PvE and PvP. So knowing what artifact you want is insanely crucial because it can amplify your damage, your defense, or whatever you want the artifact to be used for. Just make sure you know which one you're going to be needing for each build. You can have an artifact on your jewelry, on your armor here, 1 artifact per armor, and 1 artifact weapon. So 3 artifacts in total. So what I wanted to mention was the importance of potions here. Make sure you always have potions on you when you're PvEing or PvPing since they can be a lifesaver. The main ones are infused health potions here, and health and regeneration potions. These are massive. This recovers an insane amount of health and gives you some extra mana for 10 seconds. This can drastically increase your survivability in both PvE and PvP, so make sure you have lots of potions on you. Another thing that can help you a tremendous amount is actually your food. So if you're running, some strength food, dex food, some constitution food, whatever your build needs, make sure you're running that food. Gives you a bunch of extra stats. And another buff that you can apply is also your honing stones. Increases your weapon down by 7% for a tier 5. I recommend just sticking with this tier 2. It's pretty much way cheaper than a tier 5, and it pretty much does the exact same thing. So you ain't missing out on much running a tier 2 over a tier 3. Another bunch of buffs that you can run in PvE are actually ward potions here. This increases your damage absorption from Angry Earth by about 10% for 40 minutes. This is massive when doing a dungeon. This allows you to take a bunch of extra damage and not die. Another useful thing is coatings. You put this on the weapon that you're going to be primarily doing damage with. So this one makes me do a 13% additional damage to Corrupted. This is for every PvE mod. There will be a coating variant and a ward variant of said potion. These potions do not exist for PvP at all. This is just for purely PvE purposes. If you guys did find this video helpful, it would put a smile on my face if you hit that like button and subscribe. I will also be streaming on Twitch, so make sure to come check that out.